Gozo, thought of by many as one of the Mediterranean's hidden gems. But this island has a hidden gem of her own. Just off the south coast is Hobz. It rises like a miniature mountain from around 80 metres to within 9 metres of the surface. This pinnacle is almost unique in the Maltese Islands. But Hobz is more than a finger of rock rising from the seabed. It's a living, dynamic community. And like any other community, it has a life cycle of its own. It has alliances, disputes, relationships, births, deaths, and unfortunately, environmental problems. It's early spring. The Gozo sun is getting stronger, and in the crystal clear waters around the pinnacle, something is happening. After a winter's slumber, it's beginning to come to life. Our oceans contain microscopic creatures called plankton. The stronger the sunlight, the more it multiplies. The plankton is beginning to bloom. This in turn brings an increase in the creatures that depend upon plankton for food. Hobz looks as though it's been invaded by aliens. But these aliens have been around in our seas for some 485 million years. Naturally, all this activity doesn't go unnoticed. It attracts the attention of the creatures which feed upon the plankton eaters. Who are these predators? They come in all shapes and sizes, and the underwater environment is a fish-eat-fish world. Jellyfish are 90% water, so they don't make much of a meal. But the fireworms are the pinnacle's refuse cleaners and will eat just about anything. Even the fish won't refuse a carefully taken snack opportunity. One of the most colourful groups are called nudibranchs. The name nudibranch is Latin for naked lungs. They're mollusks and related to slugs on land, but sea slugs are much more decorative. In nature, however, bright colours are often a warning that says, keep away, toxic, so their beauty is actually part of their defence system. Meet Flabellina and Peregrina. They're no exception. The filaments on their back are the gills through which they breathe. Exposed like this, they're very vulnerable. But they have a trick up their sleeves. They browse on the stinging polyps of a particular plant-like hydroid, and they're able to store the hydroid's toxin in their dorsal area or back as a defence against their predators. Nudibranchs come in various shapes and sizes. They have different appetites, and their defences vary. This brown and white one is Discodorus, and this blue one, Hypsildorus, one of the largest nudibranchs in the Mediterranean. Both eat sponges. However, that isn't the only thing they have in common. Both breathe through the gills on their back, and if they sense danger, they can effectively hold their breath. They'll pull them back inside their body. Despite their formidable defences, nudibranchs have predators too. Fireworms are voracious predators, so nudibranchs could be on their menu. But mainly they eat small crustaceans, anemones and corals. They also enjoy a good deal of scavenging, which gives them employment as the seabed's cleaners. Sometimes they're known as bristleworms, due to the bristles which protrude from their bodies. These bristles are loaded with powerful neurotoxin. If they brush against something, they'll detach and inject their poison. The sting, whilst not fatal to humans, is like a burn or strong nettle rash, hence the name fireworm. Close inspection will reveal little brown branches just above the bristles. These branches act as gills. It's a very good place to keep them. If they feel threatened, they will puff the bristles up into bunches, warning off would-be predators. It's breeding time at Hobz. For some, this means establishing and defending a territory, having a tidy up and a spot of nest building. And of course, driving off those who want to steal or damage all your hard work. For others, it's just business as usual. And of course, everyone wants to look their best. So there's plenty of work at the local cleaning stations where the smaller fish are earning a living removing parasites and algae. For some of the Pinnacle's residents, life is a little more complicated. These two are parrotfish. These two are cuckoo wrasse. In both cases, the first was a female, the second was a male. All start life as females, and at some point, the socially dominant females turn into a male. As the season progresses, the competition for prime breeding sites grows, and conflicts become more aggressive. Mostly it's just posturing, and rarely comes to actual violence. In this case, the incumbent tenant won the day with nothing more than a few stylish moves. But if the combatants are evenly matched and determined, things can sometimes turn nasty. Especially when you consider those teeth were designed for chewing rocks. Luckily, this conflict has resulted in nothing more than a lost scale for the aggressor. The scarred veteran male has retained his territory and makes a quick check to make sure no one has moved in while he was distracted. All around Hobz, everyone is looking for a mate or somewhere to attract one. Some will guard their eggs until they hatch. Octopus make excellent mothers, guarding and caring for their eggs constantly, caressing them to aerate them, never leaving them even to feed. By the time they hatch, she will die of starvation. An excellent mother, but not such an excellent lover. She has been known to strangle her mate during mating and take him away to her lair for dinner. Consequently, octopus are not terribly sociable creatures. Fish will lay many thousands of eggs. Most will get eaten. So the more eggs they lay, the greater the chances of a few surviving. Moray eels may lay 10,000 eggs at a time. Unlike octopus, the eggs are fertilised outside the body and then abandoned to drift and hatch amongst the zooplankton, where they remain for up to a year, before those that survive descend to the seafloor. And then there are the community's hippies, in their brightly coloured clothes, who just get on with life without the aggression of territorial disputes. They eat their way through their days, and mating is something that occurs as they pass each other on the same hydroid, where they leave their eggs untended. It appears that every shape and size of creature is playing the mating game. Even our hard-working cleaners have taken time off work to indulge in a little mating dance of their own. One of the most spectacular mating dances is performed by the jacks. Different types of sea creatures may breed at different times, so although the breeding season continues late into summer, many more hatchlings and juveniles are beginning to appear in Hobz. It's becoming a busy metropolis, juveniles swimming everywhere and some adults still looking to mate. Naturally, with the increased population, the dominating drive is food, and as one fish's offspring is another fish's dinner, there's an abundance of this. It also attracts the pelagic predators, which normally live offshore, such as jacks, bonito, and barracuda, and each has its own special way of hunting. Although barracuda can congregate in large shoals, and if there's a large shoal of bait fish will hunt this way, they generally prefer to hunt alone. They will swim slowly amongst the other fish, and when they single out a likely meal, they'll attack swiftly and voraciously. They aren't fussy eaters, and will eat most fish, even their own young. Bonitos, sometimes known as blue runners, are the sea's hit-and-run specialists. They sweep in at incredible speed from out of nowhere and grab a snack as they pass through, and then disappear off out into the blue. Jacks will hunt in various ways, as a large group if there are big shoals of bait fish, in small packs or alone. Whether in large or small groups, the tactics are much the same. They rush at a shoal of bait fish and pick off the lone stragglers. In defence, the bait fish will move close to the pinnacle. A tightly packed group confuses the hunter, making it difficult to single out a lone target. Sometimes it's easier to be just plain sneaky and hide in a group of similar sized fish. Then, as your adopted shoal cruises serenely amongst the other fish, you just select a nice sized meal, dash out and grab it. Feeding frenzies are not uncommon at this time of the year. After a predator strikes its prey, as the fish from the bait shoals start to spread out again after the attack, the other fish think, "Ooh, food, that's a good idea," and they all jump on the bandwagon. Some of the victims have a lucky escape, but for others, it may not be quite so lucky. Their wounds make them more vulnerable and limit their ability to feed. But the seasons wear on, and Gozo's visiting divers become fewer. The sea slowly cools, and life on the pinnacle slows down. The pelagic fish numbers dwindle as the majority of them head back to pass the late autumn and winter in deeper waters. A tranquility descends upon Hobz, which brings its own kind of beauty. Surely, this place and its ecosystem are one of Gozo's greatest treasures. But deep down, all is not well. Over the last few years, Hobz has been the victim of a problem on land. Because of the problems with nitrates entering the water table, it was made illegal to spread animal waste on the land during the rainy winter months, which led to it being disposed of down the drains. Gozo's only waste treatment plant has an outfall pipe about 100 metres away from the pinnacle. The plant was not designed to deal with agricultural waste, and some of the solid matter in the waste, such as straw, blocks the filters and the end of the pipe. Because of the depth of 90 metres, it could not be cleared, and so was opened at 60 metres, bringing a discharge much closer to the pinnacle. The waste also disables other important parts of the plant, causing raw or partially treated sewage to be discharged for up to 24 hours. After particularly bad problems in the winter of 2016-17, the ecosystem has been badly damaged, turning this once thriving piece of sea into a desert. This has turned into this, and this has become this. This rock, once home to tunicates and nudibranchs, now looks like this. The creatures that remain are struggling to find food amongst the choking filth. This area can recover, but only if we stop pouring untreated sewage into our coastal seas. Water Services, who operate the treatment facility, have installed plant to reduce the quantity of discharge at this site, and are waiting to extend the pipe away from the pinnacle back to 90 metres. However, none of this can be commissioned until the animal waste is disposed of responsibly. We do not inherit this earth from our forebears. We borrow it from our children.